With us now, Ambassador John Bolton, National Security Advisor in the first Trump administration, Assistant Attorney General under Ronald Reagan. Ambassador, you have been in the conservative and in the national security space for a very long time. Does what Tulsi Gabbard, the current DNI, has rolled out, does it surprise you it's gotten as much traction as it has, having been an observer of this for so long?
Well, I think it's got a lot of attention, that's for sure, because it's so bizarre. I hope it hasn't gotten much traction. She's strung together a series of things that are not necessarily related. She's exaggerated what actual congressional reports have said. She's imagined evidence that doesn't exist. So if anybody really gets into it, it collapses pretty quickly. But as a campaign to save her job, I think it actually worked out pretty successfully for her. Whether it succeeded in distracting from the Jeffrey Epstein affair, I don't know. But there is, in substance, nothing to it, and certainly no justification for the Justice Department to launch a criminal investigation.
And I want to get to Epstein in a minute, but just one or two quick ones on Gabbard. Is there anything new, by your estimation, in here? And I don't mean new, sort of, a bombshell, but is there anything in here that was not already known in terms of the details of what happened in the run-up and then the wake of the 2016 election?
Not in any of the documents she has recently declassified and made public, and specifically when she went into the White House briefing room a couple of days ago, she referred to the House Intelligence Committee report from 2017. There were subsequent variations of that, I'm told, but I did see that when I was in the White House in 2018. And the report does take issue with the way the Obama intelligence community handled certain assessments of what Russia did in the 2016 campaign, but nothing that goes to the level of anything of a predicate for a legitimate criminal investigation. And to me, that's pretty telling, because the Republicans on the House Intel Committee in 2017 were trying to lay to rest this idea of Russia collusion. If they thought they had anything more than poor tradecraft by the intelligence community or excessive political pressure by the Obama White House, they surely would have said it, and they did not.
I want to play something that DNI Gabbard said this week with conservative, influencer Charlie Kirk. This is her making the case on what's new here, and I want you to react after.
Here's the point of distinction, is that there is no credible intelligence that points to Russia or Putin meddling in the 2016 election in order to try to get Donald Trump elected, period.
So, Ambassador, her basic argument there is you can't prove Russia meddled. I would point that there are a number of findings, including the Senate Intelligence Committee and others, that said you can. What do you make of that defense of what Tulsi Gabbard is doing?
Well, I think she's conflating things and drawing her own conclusions from them. Look, the Russia and in the Cold War, the Soviet Union tried to meddle in American political affairs in any number of ways, from trying to take over Hollywood in the 30s and 40s, to actors and writers to try and get movie scripts that towed the communist line more. So the idea they're trying to influence American politics through the internet these days is certainly nothing new from them. And I do think, and here I think I'm basically in agreement with the House Republican report, what they were trying to do primarily was stir up dissension and sow mistrust in American institutions, set Americans fighting against another. And at that time, I don't think anybody in Russia thought Trump was going to win the election, and they were trying actively to support him. And I say that because at that time in 2016, there was almost nobody in America who thought Trump could win. But by apparently supporting Trump, they certainly expected to sow discontent and mistrust, which is proven by the fact we're all still arguing about it today. It was quite a successful Russian influence operation.
Fair point. You mentioned Jeffrey Epstein. I want to spend a little time with you on that. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has obviously spent time with her this week. What do you make of this? Obviously, the president has pardon power. Obviously, Ms. Maxwell would be interested, I would assume, in a pardon. What do you, when you see Todd Blanche going and doing this, is this a serious, incredible part of what the DOJ should be doing to sort of help get to the bottom of this, or is this more politics in your mind?
Well, it smells of politics. As you noted, I am an alumnus of the Justice Department, and under Ed Meese and Dick Thornburgh, I can't emphasize enough to viewers how incredible it is that the Deputy Attorney General, the #2 official at the Justice Department, basically spent a day and a half in Florida, apparently taking a deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell. It's just unheard of in any, I don't know how you could describe this as normal, but in more normal circumstances, you'd send a line prosecutor to do this. Maybe you'd send a supervisor along with him. The Deputy Attorney General has spent a day and a half, and who knows how long he spent in preparation. Blanche is said to be a good lawyer. That probably means he spent a fair amount of time and had other people working to help him to get ready for this encounter with Ghislaine Maxwell. So the fact that that much time and attention by such a senior Justice Department official is being spent on it says to me this is something that Donald Trump is very interested in. There's no other reason for this to have happened.
And how do you, given what we know, and look, President Biden did this with his preemptive pardons, right? I mean, the pardon power, I think, is run rampant, presidential pardon power in both parties. But given what we know about who Donald Trump has chosen to pardon, how worrisome is that from someone who is sort of a, spent time and is part of the DOJ institution yourself? How concerning is it when you have the possibility even being floated? Trump was asked about it on Friday and sort of said, well, we'll see what happens. He didn't give any specific answer. But obviously, Ms. Maxwell, you would think, would be interested in that. What do you do when you have a president who uses the pardon power, as Donald Trump is, in a case this high profile?
Well, I think the president's authority constitutionally for the pardon power is unchecked, but there are other provisions of the Constitution, like the duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. And what that means is you don't use the Justice Department to resolve your own political difficulties. But Trump has done that time and time again. This pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, if that's what they're talking about or what's being considered, is very dangerous for Trump. She has enormous credibility problems, and if he does pardon her, I think it could expose him to substantial additional criticism.
I want to take a bit of a turn, but I'm fascinated by this, and I want to lean on your decades of experience in the intelligence community. We are obviously in a world where conspiracy theories are sort of treated as fact in many ways. There is one that is kicking around about Jeffrey Epstein and the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency. Do you give any credence to? I can tell by your reaction, maybe no, but I mean, this is something that's sort of been picked up and moved around the internet. Tell me why you laugh when I mention that.
Well, even the Mossad has limited resources, and if they're of a mind to compromise somebody, to get information from them, they're like any good intelligence agency. They're going to target specific people. They're not going to cast a random net of hundreds, maybe thousands of people that Jeffrey Epstein could have compromised over the years. That's just too much of an investment on too random a basis, especially since it's only been in recent years that politicians have come into Epstein's orbit. When he and Trump were friends and palling around, Trump was a New York real estate developer, not an aspiring politician. I think it gives great credit to the Mossad. If your adversaries think you're 10 feet tall, you might as well be 10 feet tall.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.